Good evening. I would like to call to order the March 21st, 2017. Let's start over. I would like to call to order the March 21st of 2017 regular meeting of the City of Canyon City's Planning Commission. If everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, Denise, will you please call the roll?
Certainly. Good evening. Chairwoman Bellantoni. Chair Madam Bellantoni.
Present.
Chair.
Madam Chair, last I heard.
Commissioner Bates.
Present.
Commissioner Maloney.
Present.
Commissioner Hamrick.
Present.
Commissioner Frida. Councilmember Gill.
Here.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'd just like to say that Mr. Ledoux is excused.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to the minutes of the regular meeting on January 18th, 2017. Are there any corrections? Comments? Okay. Do I hear a motion in a second?
Approve the minutes of the meeting of January 18th.
Second.
Commissioner Frida.
Aye.
Commissioner Bates.
Aye.
Chairman Bellantoni.
Aye.
Commissioner Maloney.
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick.
Aye.
So the minutes are approved as presented. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing to consider a zone code amendment, which will add a permitted use type 2 training facility in the commercial zone district. I will now open the public hearing, and the provisions of the Canyon City Municipal Code, and in particular, Title 17 thereof, the subdivision regulations, and the comprehensive plan of the City of Canyon City are incorporated into the record of the hearing as if set forth verbatim. Everybody ready? Okay. Ms. Bernath, would you be so kind to give us a
Yes.
staff report?
Yes, Madam Chair, and members of the commission. This is a public hearing for a zone code amendment to add a permitted use in the C commercial zone. Public notice was published at least 15 days prior to this hearing as required by law. The zoning regulations in the city allow schools, any type of school, elementary all the way up to universities, by approval of a special review use in all zone districts except MH1, which is a mobile home park and industrial. So no schools are allowed in those two districts. Every other school is allowed by special review use in other districts. In addition, the regulations define training facilities because we're suggesting that this new use might be a type of training facility, which is for special instruction like ballet or gymnastics. It does not fit in that. That's why we're suggesting calling it a type 2. Secondary schools are a type of school. That's the other definition that's in the code, and I just wanted to make sure you were aware of all of them. Goal Academy has basically outgrown its space at 402 Royal Gorge Boulevard, which is in the Central Business District. And they do not have a special review use approval for that space. And as you know, last year they wanted to go over to Main Street. That was not approved. And I talked to them or sent them a letter late last year. They've been working on locating another place for them to move to. And they have found a place out at what used to be called Creekside, which is now 4 Mile. And they contacted the city and sat down and talked to us and had hoped that they could gain approval for that. We talked about having a special review use, but there were some issues around them still being considered a school, which I'll go into in just a minute, and suggested instead amending the zoning code to allow them to be something called an education drop-in center, which is another synonym for type 2 training facility. That would be allowed as a use by right, permitted use in the commercial zone district, and not allowed at this time anywhere else. So an education drop-in center means a facility in which a consistent group of people meet regularly for no more than 12 hours a week under the supervision of a teacher or a mentor for support or tutoring as part of an online or blended learning program. For purposes of this title, an education drop-in center is not to be considered a school. I've gone through some of the characteristics of their use. They have as many as 230 students. They serve, they're kind of a satellite in that they serve 4 of our local communities. They basically have hours from 8 to 4. They generally have no more than 30 to 50 kids in and out of the facility in a day, and there are some other characteristics that are in your staff report. One of the items that is kind of a stumbling block is that the State Liquor Enforcement Division would prohibit the licensing of liquor establishments other than those that are hotel and restaurant within 500 feet of their location. So wherever they might locate would mean that another bar or a tavern or a liquor store or whatever could not locate within 500 feet of them, and in turn they couldn't locate within 500 feet of our already established an already established liquor establishment. So the solution is to call them something different, and they do have some different characteristics than a traditional school, and so we were incorporating that into a new definition and considering carefully where it would be appropriate for them to be. Not the central business district, probably not any residential districts, but the general commercial districts seemed like a good fit for them. In this particular place that they have, that they're planning to be, which is a large shopping center, tends to be, at least in the research that I had done in the past when we were considering this last year, that is where most of these centers are located. They tend to be located in a large shopping center. There's a lot of parking and seems to fit well for their model. In conclusion, I will just say that even though we've gone into a lot of detail about Goal Academy here, you are not directly approving their use for Creekside. This is an amendment to the zone code to allow these types of uses, and there could be other types of places, like in the ones that come to mind, I mentioned in the staff report, are like Sylvan Learning Centers, Mathnasium. There might even be some other nonprofits that have learning type centers of this nature that fits this model, so to speak, that would also be allowed in the commercial district. So wherever they went, they would be allowed as a use by right. They still would be, they might have to do something around site planning and that kind of thing if they were building their own building, providing parking and that kind of thing. But I just wanted to let you know that you're not directly approving their use, but creating a use for these types of facilities. The applicants are here if you have any questions of them specifically. Notice, as I said, was published on March 3rd. You have a findings of fact and advisory report that you will complete during this process and give to the council, your recommendation. I have a draft of the language. It would be, and I also included other list of uses for the commercial zone district, so you can look and see that this, whether you believe that this is compatible with other uses in the commercial zone district, and then also their particular application. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I can.
So I do. Ms. Bernath, this is an amendment to the zoning code that is initiated by, that is not initiated by the city. It is initiated by the private sector.
That's correct. That is allowed.
I understand. It's
Okay.
just typically a zone code request is initiated by the city. So in this case, and then this description, who developed this definition of training facility type 2?
They suggested it, and then I revised it and also looked at some other definitions of these types of facilities. I looked at Denver's, and they actually provided that. That's where it came from. It was their suggestion.
Okay. Commissioners, do we have questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Hamrick?
Terry, what does I was kind of puzzled by the use of the word consistent. Do you have some understanding of what that means or why that might be important to be in the sentence?
So I was looking at that, means a facility in which a consistent group of people. What does that mean? Instead of just a group of people.
Well, it may be redundant. I would imagine that it would always be a consistent group of people, meaning, they can explain it probably further, but it would be that group under the auspices of a particular education drop-in facility, like Mathnasium or Sylvan or Goal Academy. It would be their enrollment.
Okay, maybe right now, before we ask too many more questions, we'll have the applicant. Would the applicant care to come address the commission and share with us your ideas? Is that okay, you guys?
Yes, I'm just thinking I'd hate to have to prove I'm consistent.
I am so not consistent. So, I hear you. Good evening. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Dustin Sparks. My address is 17511 White Marble Drive, Monument, Colorado.
I'm Alan Van Norman. My address is 304 South Victoria Street in Pueblo, Colorado.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So to address the issue around consistent, that's taken from the statute that authorizes multi-district online charter schools. And so there's a definition in there about the consistent students being in a facility more than a certain number of hours a week. And if a consistent group of students are at a facility more than 1.5 days in a week, then they require the permission of the local school district in order to operate that facility. So the way Goal runs its facilities is that they do not have their consistent group of students at their facility for more than a day and a half in any given week, which means that they can go into any district within the state of Colorado without the permission of the local school district. And so that's how they place their facilities. And their facilities are actually placed at the discretion of their authorizing school district, which is Falcon D49. So that's where the consistent portion came from.
So just so I understand, then consistent in that case is a limiting maximum for the number of hours.
Yeah, so it's, what it's getting at, I guess, in the statute is that you're having the same group of kids come every week, but that the same kid can't be there consistently more than a day and a half. So if there's, 2 weeks out of 10 that kid came 3 days, they didn't consistently come, more than basically 12 hours. It's, are they regularly or consistently showing up more than those 12 hours?
Then it would not be considered a drop-in facility, it would be considered a school, and then you'd have to have permission from the district.
Well, it's still actually not considered a school. It just moves up to the next category because these are 4 online schools that have a blended learning component. And so it's the number of hours that their blended learning model requires them to be at the physical facility. And so they're still not actually schools, but they move to a different classification that then requires the local school district and the charter school have an MOU between them.
So if Jane comes to school for 12 hours a week, then she falls under this definition. If she wants to come to school 15 hours a week, now we have a different situation. And then it requires an MOU with the local school district.
Basically, yes.
Okay. Good. Anything else that you continue? That was wonderful.
Whatever questions you have, I'm the attorney for the applicant, so I can answer the legal questions, and then Alan here will answer, the operational. He oversees this region for Goal Academy, so, what do the kids do there? Whatever you want to know about that side, he's here to answer that.
But again, as Ms. Bernath mentioned, this doesn't approve the Goal Academy. It merely adds a use to the commercial district of training facility type 2, as described here.
And what
Everybody-
we've requested
yes.
is a use by right, so then, there wouldn't be a special use review to actually then have Goal there. But I guess it's not you're not being asked to approve Goal, you're just being asked to approve this new definition.
Are there any questions from the commission for the applicant or Ms. Bernath? I have one again. Again, it said that the notice was put in the newspaper, right?
That's
We
what we
put that on our
do.
list of code
Where-
changes?
Where
please?
would you like this to be?
Well, it's just, it was the, I would like to know that the owner of Cherry Creek or Creekside property knows this and was given information. I would like to know that potentially, well, I guess
Maybe
go
we-
ahead.
First of all, with respect to Creekside, maybe we could have Mr. Van Norman talk about the lease, or John. Oh, John.
Well, welcome,
And
and would please
they're-
state your name and address, Mr. Marietta.
I am John Marietta. I live at 1271 North Ranchitos in Canyon City. And I am here representing Westside Investments, who are the owners for the shops at 4 Mile. And in short answer to your question, we've been in negotiations for several months between the owners and the Realtors and the Goal Academy. So they are very aware of this proceeding and the intent. So
Thank you for coming forward. Thank you. Okay. Did you want to say something from the Goal Academy?
It's here to answer questions if you have any about the operational use of it. It's pretty well summed up in what Terry put in there.
Oh, let me add one thing. Not understanding exactly how all of these types of facilities work. I did a little bit of research around Sylvan and Mathnasium to make sure that they also basically would fit here as well. I don't know of other types of educational drop-in centers other than those two. There were a couple of other ones that were not as familiar to me, but they seemed also to fit in this, that the kids come for a specific amount of time and they don't even, I mean, in this particular case, they didn't it didn't appear that they exceeded even 12 hours a week when in those kinds of cases. So other types of facilities will work under this definition as well.
And the general commercial is Highway 50, east of 9th Street on Main,
That's correct.
portions of north-south 9th Street,
Yes, that's correct. And all
east,
along Highway
east
50.
Main,
Yes,
east Fremont Drive,
yes. And Highway 50, basically all the way through town.
with, okay, so really it just eliminates the central business district downtown.
That's correct. In residential, that
Well, of
wouldn't be
course,
allowed.
yes, yeah. Okay, just want to make sure we all know where that's at. Okay. Nobody else is, okay. Well, thank you, thank you. So at this time, does anybody have, nobody has any other questions for anybody? We are just a talkative group tonight. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing. And do I hear a motion and a second? We need to go to the findings of fact.
And I apologize, I didn't put your number 1 and number 2 in. If you would look at your findings of fact, and under the purpose statement, if you would put a number 1 where it says the Canyon City Planning Commission, that would be your first motion. And then if you put a number 1 there, if you would, and then go down to based upon the findings of fact, the above findings of fact, that would be your the beginning of your second motion.
Do I hear a motion? Commissioner Hamrick.
Madam Chair, I move that the Canyon City Planning Commission, upon conducting a public hearing on the above captioned zoning ordinance amendment, and after considering the testimony presented by the city staff and other interested parties, finds notice of public hearing was properly given as required by law.
And
And number 2.
And the second part of the motion is that based on
Oh,
the
no,
above.
no, number 2.
And number 2, based on the above findings of fact, the
No,
Canyon.
no. The proposed amendments are necessary and appropriate.
Oh, sorry.
you have to find that in the affirmative.
There we go, thank you. And that the proposed amendments are necessary and appropriate.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Maloney. Do I have any discussion on this motion? Okay, Denise, will you please call roll?
Commissioner Hamrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Maloney,
Aye.
Madam Chair,
Aye.
Commissioner Bates,
Aye.
Commissioner Frida.
Aye.
Okay, so the motion unanimously passed. Is there a motion regarding the findings of facts?
Actually, this is your recommendation
Oh,
motion.
our recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a recommendation that based upon the above findings of fact, the Canyon City Planning Commission hereby makes the following recommendation to the Council of the City of Canyon City. Approval of the amendment to the zoning ordinance.
Thank you, Commissioner Maloney. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Bates. Any discussion on the motion for recommendation? Okay. Denise, will you please call roll?
Commissioner Maloney,
Aye.
Commissioner Bates,
Aye.
Madam Chair,
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Frida.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, the motion passed unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. The next item on our agenda are announcements. And at this time, I'd like to publicly thank Commissioner Gregory Carlson, who is no longer able to be part of this commission. He was a valuable asset. I can't stress that enough. So publicly thank you, Commissioner Carlson. And those are big shoes, whoever you bring in, Terry.
Well, I would
Big,
also,
big shoes.
I would also like to say that it was a real pleasure working with Gregory, and yes, he will be hard to replace.
Very hard to replace. Another announcement, I believe, should we about April?
Yes, I can
Like
do
to
that.
do that?
My last day as a full-time employee here at the city will be April 14th. I'm going to take a break and hopefully working with Mr. O'Rourke to work out a schedule for coming back as a part-time contract employee in community development. So we very well may not have an April meeting. I will keep you guys posted on that, but more than likely we will not. Right now, I don't have anything in the hopper that would warrant us coming back for a meeting, so. But probably in May.
Is there anything else that needs to come before the commission? There being none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.